Today, what we're going to talk about the 6 levels of financial ascension. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Financial Freedom Fast Lane. And you know the vibes. The quicker you get to your dream life, the longer you get to live it. And I'm your host, George Acheampong. And so y'all see, right there, I just got my marathon collector's item basketball. I thought it'd be a great item for the backdrop. Super cool. I think they only made like 100 of them, and I was fortunate enough to get one of them. And also something else I'm gonna start doing on this show periodically is if I can find something to talk about every single week for the entire year, for years over years, right? How you say that? Year over year, year over year, then surely tweetables, threads, is that the new thing? Different just powerful statements, sayings, slogans can come out of that, right? And I was just telling a friend of mine who's an artist who has an amazing voice, super talented, that life is a lot about like just having these heart's desires or these things that were once just thoughts and manifesting those in a physical form. And one of the number one things I love about my merch brand, Shop Melanin Money, is that is exactly what that is. When I have a powerful statement or an affirmation or a thought or a campaign that I want to bring to life, I can do that on merchandise. And so I had this funny statement that I said, I think it was on one of our podcasts, and I was like, a bunch of friends hanging together, not getting no money, that's a nonprofit, right? And so I decided to put it on a shirt. I'm gonna move the mic so y'all can see it. Right, so see that? So I decided to put it on a shirt. And so what I'm gonna do, like on these shows, right, whether it's the podcast or whether it's this particular segment, is I'm going to either one, just wear it. And if you guys give me great feedback on it, I might add it to the story. Be like, yo, George, I gotta have it. I'm gonna add it to the story. Now, don't tell me you gotta have it just so that we can make it and you don't buy it, right? But if you want it, we'll add it to the store and then you guys can copy it. And then what I also might do is start making the episodes themed based upon the shirt that I decide to wear. So for example, what I could have did, right? Maybe I'll still do, and it'll give me an opportunity to wear this again and I have to change for another episode, is 5 ways to get money with your friends. You see what I'm saying? So like it kind of gives a new way for me to be inspired with my content, right? But ultimately find a way to get my ideas out to the world in more fun and meaningful ways, right? But today, what we're going to talk about is the 6 levels of financial ascension. Let's say that again. I feel like the word levels didn't roll off my tongue right. The 6 levels of financial ascension, okay? Because I want you guys to figure out where you are in the journey and to know, like, even if you're not as far along as you want to be, you'll probably realize through hearing this that there are levels and you are not on the lowest one. And by chance, if you are on the lowest one, that is okay. At least you know where you are so that you can know where you are headed. All right, so let's get into it. All right, the first level of financial ascension is financial dependence, right? And just like the name sounds, financial dependence means that you are reliant and dependent on other people's financial resources to navigate your lifestyle, right? So that means you're dependent. So essentially a child is probably in this category, right? Of financial dependence, as they should be, right? You are dependent upon your parents to make sure you have money for food, make sure you have money for shelter, or that you have shelter rather, and all those things, right? But there could be scenarios as an adult, whether through a financial setback or just whatever the circumstance is, where you could be, at the level of financial dependence, right? So this is just more of an awareness thing, right? There isn't any necessary like super actionable thing on each level. I'll try to think of something that could be relevant, but ultimately I want you guys to have awareness about where you are and what that ultimate goal is, right? So if you're an adult and you are financially dependent, right? Barring that there isn't health concerns or other things that are beyond your control, and you want to not be financially dependent, then one thing that you like, your next most important objective is to figure out, how can I at least get enough income to cover my basic needs, right? I might not have enough money to cover like luxuries and all the fun stuff, but when it comes to being able to put a roof over my head, right, put gas in the car, or even public transportation for that matter, right? I am not dependent on somebody to at least live my basic lifestyle, right? To cover my needs. That will be your number one objective if you are in the stage of financial dependence, and asking yourself, what can I do to get out of that and enter to the next stage? All right, so once you get out of financial dependence, right, you're at what we would call financial stability, right? And it's exactly what I just said. You can cover your basic needs, right? But you still probably have some outstanding debts, right? And you probably don't have much in savings. So you're financially stable in the sense that your money that you're making can cover your bills, right? And your basic needs, but you're one emergency away from probably not being stable anymore, right? As they say, one income stream is too close to zero, right? So you might be one paycheck away from being in a not so great situation, right? So you can cover your bills, but you still got outstanding debt that's probably looming over your head, consumer debt. And then you also, right, just don't have a lot of money in savings. So if you're in the financially stable, right, level, then your focus at this point is making sure that you are eliminating high interest debt, right? And starting to put some money away for a rainy day. Because stable just is only as stable as the variables remain the same. If you keep getting paid, right, and you keep your expenses about where they are, then you would be in a stable position. It's almost like when someone goes to the hospital and they're not out of the woods yet, but we got them stable, right? We got them stable. You're not flatlining. You ain't dead, but you're stable, right? So that's not a bad place to be, but it's also not a place of abundance or an ideal place to be, right? It's kind of middle of the road. I would argue that that's probably where most people are. Most people are probably in a financially stable position. They can pay their bills. They got some outstanding debt. They don't have much savings, and they're got their fingers crossed that an emergency isn't going to happen, right? Now let's look at the next phase. All right, so the next level is financial security, right? Financial security. Now this means you have enough money to cover all your bills, right? And your basic expenses, and you have an emergency fund, right? So that means that if life were to not go your way, you have money tucked away to be able to be okay for at least a period of time, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever you consider your emergency fund, right? They say the general rule of thumb is 6 months, but if I'm being honest, like, especially if you're a working professional, like in a very healthy job market, yeah, you might be able to get another job in 2-3 months, but sometimes these things take time, right? And 6 months can fly by, right? 6 months can absolutely fly by. So like if it were me, I would aim for 9 months, right? Maybe even 12. I'm not saying you have to have all that money sitting in cash, like being eroded by inflation, but maybe a cash equivalent, or maybe conservatively invested and having highly liquid assets that you can access in the event. So maybe you might have that 3 to 6 months in cash, and you have maybe another 6 months of money that you have earmarked for, if I needed to tap into this, I could, right? Because you just never know. But the good news is, if you're in a place of financial security, you could lose that job. You could get that flat tire, right? You could have that emergency, and all is not lost. It's not going to completely disrupt your world, right? It's not like, I don't know why this thought came to mind, but y'all been seeing that meme going around, or that video with Drewski in the super tight shirt, right? He is one deep breath away, one exhale away from that button popping off that shirt, right? And that's how some people's budgets are. You are one, right, slip up away from it going completely south, right? But that is not what financial stability is, right? Excuse me, that's not what financial security is. Financial security says, I got some coins tucked away, right? I still got to work, but I got some coins tucked away, so if something happened, I'd be okay, right? Now let's look at the next phase. The next phase is what everybody is chasing, okay? And this is financial independence, right? Financial independence. Now you would think you would go from financial dependence right to financial independence, but that's not how it works, right? That would be like, again, saying I go from depending on my parents as a child would to now being completely financially independent, which by definition means that my investments, not my work effort, not my labor, but my investments can cover my lifestyle needs. Now, why is this important? For beyond obvious reasons. This is important because the only reason why you can be considered financially independent at this stage and not financially stable or financially secure is because you don't have to work, right? Which means that independent of these other variables, you're still going to be okay. If you don't show up to work, you're still going to get money from your investments to cover your lifestyle needs, right? This is the North Star. If you stop here and don't go anywhere else, right? This will probably be the American dream and then some, right? To be financially independent. Having enough money produced by your investments, not produced by you, right? So that working becomes optional. That is the sought after one. Again, if you got to at least that one, you're in good shape. But there's a couple other ones that you might want to unlock to complete this entire financial ascension. Okay. All right. Level 5 or phase 5 on this financial levels of ascension is, you guessed it, financial freedom, right? Financial freedom fast lane. It's only right. Right. So financial freedom is really, really powerful because not only do you have the money covering your basic lifestyle needs, right? But you also have enough money to cover the luxuries, right? So you pretty much can do what you want. You can travel, you can go see the world, you can live your best life. Your basic needs are met, your luxuries are met. You can do what you want to do. Okay? That is financial freedom. Now, financial freedom, again, could be another one of those where like, well, what else could you possibly want? If you got financial freedom, you can travel, you can do your thing, you can enjoy the luxuries, you got your lifestyle needs met. Like, what else could there possibly be? And again, if you stopped at financial independence, that would be arguably the American dream, right? Financial freedom is just like that. It's that sauce, right? It's that extra, like, man, like, I can do no wrong. Life is good. But there is one final level, one of what is it? An affinity stone, right? Left to complete the cycle. And this is actually one that's proprietary. I think the other ones are pretty widely known, but this one is actually one that I have added to the list to make it my own. And it's FU money, but not FU money like you thinking about. I'm talking about being financially untouchable, right? Where it is quite literally next to impossible to disrupt or destroy what you've built. Because here's the thing. It's one thing to have financial freedom and you have all the money coming from the investments, you can live your life, you can do everything you want. But what happens if you have an unforeseen health situation, right? And your lifestyle dramatically changed, or the costs associated with your lifestyle dramatically change? What if you need long-term care, right? What if you need a caregiver, right? Like, what if you get disabled? That is going to change what you thought your expenses would be in a very major way. So the person that's financially untouchable has proactively poked holes, right, in their ship to not only think about, right, all of the things that could go right when you invest money, but what are the things that could go wrong, right, that are beyond your control, right, that are bigger than an emergency that would disrupt you if you were just financially stable, right? What are those things? Healthcare costs, right? Making sure you have the right insurance in place to protect you. If you're somebody who wants to be financially untouchable, you don't want to just have money for you and your family, right, during your lifetime. You want to make sure that your kids and maybe even your kids' kids are okay, right? So to be financially untouchable, you have to also think about estate planning in having a generational wealth plan, right? Everybody talks about generational wealth, but doesn't have a generational wealth plan. Okay. So to be financially untouchable, that's another box that you have to check. It's not just about the money. You check that box. It's about protecting and putting a moat around the things that you've built. Okay. It's also about thinking about how to avoid unnecessary taxes, right? Because you could, again, build up all this money, but if you don't protect yourself against the risk of taxation, then that could be another thing that could erode your wealth, right? So do I have a proper tax strategy in place, right? To avoid unnecessary taxes, to avoid probate, to avoid, right, all of these things, estate taxes, I should say, right? To avoid these things that under normal circumstances, if I don't have a plan, right, would derail my goals, my legacy goals, right? So thinking about all of those other things, right, that create this level of protection around the wealth that you built, that's what makes you financially untouchable. All right. So thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Financial Freedom Fastlane. And remember, the quicker you get to your dream life, the longer you get to live it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, and let me know if this is a shirt that I should produce. Are you and your homies getting money, or are y'all just hanging out, not getting no money, and now y'all got a nonprofit, right? You don't need an LLC, you need a 501c3. I should put that on a shirt. You don't need an LLC, you need a 501c3, because that is a nonprofit. Y'all ain't getting no money. They ain't gonna like that one. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Let me know if you want this shirt, or let me know what else you think I should put on a shirt, because I say a lot of stuff on this show. We're gonna have some fun, and I'm gonna try to keep these rolling, and keep the ideas coming so we can manifest these thoughts, and our shirts can talk for us without us having to say a thing. As always, remember, freedom is for sale if you're willing to pay the price. Peace.